probably one of the biggest issues in America, and really and truthfully around the world right now, is dealing with budget crises, specifically talking about deficit spending. America, along with countries like Greece, and really most countries in the European Union, are facing the harsh reality of deficit spending and accumulating large amounts of debt in their countries. And so there are a lot of proposals going on right now on how to decrease America's budget deficit and bring down their debt as a whole. First of all, and I don't know where you stand on this, my personal opinion is that deficit spending isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, why is that?
I think, I understand in good economic times it makes sense to have most of your deficit down and try and get as much of a budget surplus as possible, but passing something like a balanced budget amendment, which some people in Congress have proposed, is not a good idea. Basically what that would do is it would make it so that the government cannot have a budget deficit any given year. They have to always have a balanced budget. The problem with that is when you get into economic recessions or times when there needs to be some sort of fiscal policy pumped into the economy, the government needs to put forth some deficit spending to help boost economic growth, much like they did in 2008, 2009, and then last year.
Okay, now wait a second. On this balanced budget amendment, they are saying you only spend what we make, correct?
Exactly.
So now, my viewpoint on this is you take a average household, or say you as a college student, do you spend only what you make?
Absolutely not.
And now if you had to, would you be able to be in college? Would you be able to even like try to buy a car, own a house? Would you be able to do any of that?
No, and I think that's how most people are. You know, just about everyone has a credit card and uses it. Someone that's going through college most likely has college loans. They have a car payment. They're using a lot of borrowed money to get through what they need to get through. And there's a payoff to that, because hopefully when you come out of college, you can pay that money back off. But it is necessary on an individual basis, and I think also on a national basis.
And a lot of people spend, when they are in their budgeting, they spend their money based on what they think they're going to earn in the future. It's back to our econ class with the permanent income hypothesis. You spend on what you think you're going to make. So as a college student, I am able to spend money on tuition because I know in the future that I'm going to be able to pay that back and earn more off of it.
Exactly. So
I don't see the point of saying, yeah, you can't borrow anything, even though you will be able to pay it back later. It's kind of limiting the whole growth kind of type of topic there.
Now, with that being said, the government, yes, they are using deficit spending to pump money into the economy, to pay for some of the wars that we're in right now, but there is also just an overall budget problem in Washington, and that's they just continue to increase their spending without any real idea of bringing in more revenues, and a lot of the spending is unnecessary, so there's definitely a lot of cleanup.
But like you can think the same way with us. We have a credit card. You can't just go and go, hey, I want to go to the movies. Hey, I want to go do this, and then never have anything to kind of take that away. Like you can't pay it off. There's no reason to keep running up the bill if you have no way to pay it.
Exactly.
So you can't just say, well, no budget at all, or you have to have balanced budget. But you can't say, yeah, go wild and free. Here's a credit card, black credit card, spend whatever you want, and have no repercussions for not spending it. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Americans agree with that too. So the issue comes up, okay, we've got to at least somehow narrow the budget deficit. The debate right now, the major debate in Washington, is whether or not to do that through spending cuts or to do it through tax increases. Some on the conservative side of things believe that raising taxes on the high income makers in this country will hurt the economy. They're right.
Yes.
However, cutting spending in areas like education and entitlements and so forth will also hurt economic growth as well.
So it's the lesser of two evils is what
Exactly.
we're looking for. Now, which one would you side with on that?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think the people that are struggling right now are the middle and lower class, and so to ask them to lose Social Security benefits, ask them to pay more for college, to possibly cut education spending so that public schools aren't as in high quality as they normally are, is kind of a lot to ask for them since they're already struggling. So I think, yes, making some adjustments and some reforms to those, to entitlements and to education and so forth, but also asking higher income earners to pay a little bit more in their taxes, I don't think is too much to ask either.
Now, see, my opinion on that is when you have people in the lower class or middle class, say you were to decrease spending on them, even if you were to give them, they're the ones that are going to spend the most money. They're the ones that are needing the food. They're buying the houses, cars. They're the ones going to work every day. They are the ones that are spending the most. When you have $10 million, are you spending 10% of your income a year?
No.
You're not. It's just sitting there, just building interest in the bank. It's not. You're not doing anything with it. If you were a lower middle class person making $20,000 a year, you're spending all of that and trying to find ways to get more, and you're not afraid to spend. And yeah, that may cutting spending to them. If you start cutting spending to public schools, you're going to just start having people or kids that aren't as smart, that won't be able to do the high. You're making the gap larger. And yeah, the rich people may be a little upset you're taking their money, but I think in the end, you're going to be better off as a country in a whole if you take their money because they're not doing anything with it.
Exactly.